When people decide to become healthier, one of the first habits they often choose is walking. It doesn't require expensive equipment, a gym membership, or advanced athletic ability. It seems almost too simple to make a real difference. Yet something remarkable begins happening inside your body the very first day you commit to walking every day. Here's a question that surprises almost everyone. Which organ changes first? Is it your legs because they're doing all the work? Is it your heart because it's pumping faster? Or is it your lungs because you're breathing more deeply? The answer is something most people never expect. Before your muscles become stronger, before your belly becomes smaller, before the scale shows any difference, one organ quietly starts changing almost immediately. And that organ begins influencing nearly every other system in your body. Understanding this hidden transformation may completely change the way you think about daily walking. Most people believe walking is simply a way to burn calories. If you ask someone why they walk every day, they might say they want to lose weight, strengthen their legs, improve their heart health, or burn off yesterday's dessert. These are all reasonable answers, but they only tell part of the story. Because walking looks so easy, many people underestimate its biological power. They believe that if they are not sweating heavily, gasping for air, or lifting heavy weights, their body isn't really changing. Social media often reinforces this idea by celebrating high-intensity workouts while treating walking as something almost anyone could do without much benefit. This misunderstanding causes many people to quit before the real changes even begin. They expect dramatic results within a week. When they don't immediately lose several pounds or see visible changes in the mirror, they assume walking isn't working. But the body doesn't begin by changing what you can see. It begins by changing what you can't. Every step you take sends millions of signals throughout your body. Your nervous system becomes active, hormones begin adjusting, blood vessels respond, muscles communicate with the brain. The liver changes how it manages glucose. Fat tissue starts receiving different metabolic instructions. None of these changes are dramatic enough to notice in a mirror. Yet together, they create the foundation for everything that happens later. The greatest secret of daily walking is that it is not simply exercise. It is information. It is a biological message telling your entire body that movement is becoming part of everyday life. And before your heart grows stronger, before your muscles become more efficient, before visceral fat begins shrinking, your brain may already be rewriting the instructions that control your metabolism, your energy, your appetite, and even the way your body ages. To understand why, we first need to explore why the brain is almost always the very first organ to respond when you start walking every day. The reason the brain responds so quickly to walking is simple. Before your body can move, your brain must organize the movement. Walking may feel automatic, but inside your nervous system, it is an extremely coordinated process. Your brain has to control balance, posture, rhythm, direction, breathing, heart rate, vision, and muscle activation at the same time. Every step requires communication between the brain, spinal cord, nerves, muscles, inner ear, eyes, and joints. Even when you are walking slowly, your brain is constantly calculating where your foot should land, how much force your muscles should produce, and how to keep you upright without you consciously thinking about it. This is why walking is not just a leg activity, it is a full nervous system activity. The moment you begin walking, the brain receives more sensory information from the body. Your feet send signals from the ground. Your joints report position and pressure. Your eyes scan the environment. Your inner ear helps maintain balance. The brain integrates all of this information in real time and adjusts your movement from 1 second to the next. In other words, walking wakes up the communication network between the body and the brain. At the same time, blood flow begins to increase. Your heart pumps a little faster, blood vessels widen, and more oxygen-rich blood reaches active tissues, including the brain. This improved circulation can influence alertness and mental clarity. Many people notice that after only a short walk, their mind feels clearer, their mood becomes lighter, and problems that felt heavy while sitting seem easier to think through. This is not imagination. Movement changes the chemical environment of the brain. Walking stimulates several neurotransmitters that influence how you feel and think. Dopamine is involved in motivation and reward. Serotonin helps regulate mood and emotional balance. Norepinephrine supports focus and alertness. When walking is repeated day after day, the brain starts connecting movement with a sense of reward and stability. This is one reason daily walking can become easier over time. At first, you may need discipline to begin. Later, your brain may begin to expect the walk because it associates that habit with feeling better. Another important molecule is BDNF, or brain-derived neurotrophic factor. You can think of BDNF as a support signal for brain adaptability. It helps neurons communicate, supports learning and memory, and is often connected with neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and reorganize itself. Daily walking does not transform the brain overnight, but it repeatedly sends a gentle message that encourages the brain to stay active, adaptable, and responsive. Walking also affects the stress system. Many modern adults live in a state of constant sympathetic activation. This is the fight-or-flight side of the nervous system. It is useful during danger, but when it stays elevated all day, it can contribute to poor sleep, cravings, high blood pressure, and blood sugar instability. A calm walk, especially at an easy pace, can help shift the nervous system toward better balance. Breathing becomes more rhythmic. Muscle tension decreases. The body receives a signal that it is safe to move, breathe, and regulate. This matters because the brain does not only control movement, it also influences hunger, cravings, stress hormones, sleep timing, body temperature, motivation, and energy use. So when walking changes the brain, it indirectly begins changing the whole body. The liver receives different signals. Muscles become more active. Blood vessels respond. Appetite patterns may start to shift. Even inflammation can be influenced by how the nervous system regulates stress. That is why the first organ that changes when you start walking every day may be the brain. Not because the legs are unimportant, but because the brain is the command center that turns each step into a whole body signal. Walking begins as movement, but inside the body, it quickly becomes communication. And once the brain starts changing the message, the rest of the body begins to follow. Now let's watch what happens inside your body after you make one simple decision. You start walking every day. Most people expect visible results first. They step on the scale every morning, or look in the mirror, hoping to see a smaller waist after only a few days. But your body follows a completely different timeline. The first improvements happen deep inside your organs, long before your appearance begins to change. During your very first walk, your brain is already hard at work. As soon as you begin moving, areas responsible for coordination, balance, and motor control become more active. Blood flow to the brain increases, delivering additional oxygen and nutrients. Your breathing naturally becomes deeper and more rhythmic. At the same time, your muscles begin drawing energy from stored glycogen and circulating glucose while gradually increasing their use of fatty acids. Even though this is only one walk, your body is already gathering information. It is asking a simple question: is this movement going to become part of everyday life? After about 10 to 20 minutes of steady walking, another series of changes begins. Your heart settles into a comfortable rhythm. Blood vessels relax to improve circulation. Many people notice that their thoughts become clearer and their mood feels lighter. This happens because the brain is releasing more neurotransmitters that support emotional balance and concentration. At the same time, stress hormones that may have been elevated during a busy morning can begin moving toward a healthier level. Inside the muscles, insulin sensitivity starts improving, allowing glucose to enter muscle cells more efficiently. Although you cannot see these changes, your metabolism is already responding. By the end of the first day, you probably will not look different. However, your body has already learned something important. If you eat a meal after walking, your muscles may absorb glucose more effectively than they would have before the exercise. Blood sugar after meals may become slightly more stable. As evening approaches, your body may also build stronger sleep pressure. Many people find that after a day including moderate physical activity, they fall asleep a little more easily and experience deeper, more refreshing rest. Now imagine repeating this routine for 3 to 7 days. Something interesting begins happening inside the brain. Walking becomes less of a challenge and more of a familiar pattern. Neural pathways involved in movement become more efficient. Your brain starts expecting the daily walk and gradually links it with positive feelings. Instead of viewing movement as work, it begins recognizing it as a normal part of your daily rhythm. Many people also notice steadier energy throughout the day. Rather than experiencing dramatic highs and lows, They feel more consistent from morning until evening. Around 2 to 4 weeks, changes inside the muscles become easier to measure. Mitochondria, the tiny structures responsible for producing energy, begin working more efficiently. Your muscles require less effort to perform the same walk that once felt challenging. Walking at your usual pace becomes easier because your body is producing energy more effectively. Your resting heart rate may begin declining slightly as the cardiovascular system becomes more efficient. Appetite may also become more stable. Instead of experiencing frequent cravings driven by stress or fluctuating blood sugar, many people find it easier to recognize true hunger. Your body is also becoming more metabolically flexible. This means it is improving its ability to switch between burning carbohydrates and burning fat, depending on what is available. This flexibility is one of the defining features of good metabolic health. It doesn't happen because of a single long walk. It develops because the body repeatedly receives the same healthy signal day after day. By 6 to 12 weeks, the cumulative effects become much more noticeable. This is often when visceral fat begins decreasing more visibly, especially if daily walking is combined with balanced nutrition and adequate sleep. Blood pressure may improve as blood vessels become healthier and more elastic. Insulin sensitivity continues increasing, allowing blood sugar to remain more stable throughout the day. Many people notice they recover more quickly from physical activity, climb stairs with less effort, and feel less tired during everyday tasks. The emotional benefits often become just as significant as the physical ones. Stress feels easier to manage. Mood becomes more stable. Confidence grows because movement has become part of daily life, rather than an occasional effort. Walking no longer feels like exercise that must be completed. It simply becomes something your body expects and enjoys. This is perhaps the most important lesson of all. The first changes from daily walking are almost invisible. Your brain adapts before your waist becomes smaller. Your muscles improve before your clothes fit differently. Your metabolism becomes healthier before the number on the scale begins to move. The body always changes from the inside out. When you stay consistent long enough, the invisible improvements eventually become visible ones. Now that we've followed the timeline, let's take a closer look at what happens inside each major organ as daily walking becomes part of your life. Although the brain is the first organ to respond, it certainly isn't the last. Every step sends signals throughout the body, and over time these organs begin working together more efficiently than before. Let's begin again with the brain, because it remains the body's control center throughout the entire process. As daily walking becomes a habit, blood circulation to the brain improves more consistently. Better circulation means a steadier supply of oxygen and nutrients to nerve cells. Over time, the brain becomes more efficient at regulating attention, emotional balance, and decision-making. Many people notice they can concentrate longer, react more calmly to stressful situations, and recover from mental fatigue more quickly. Walking also helps the brain regulate appetite by improving communication between areas that monitor hunger and fullness. Instead of constantly responding to cravings triggered by stress or boredom, the brain becomes better at recognizing genuine energy needs. Next comes the heart. Every walk asks the heart to pump a little harder than it does while sitting, but not so hard that it becomes overwhelmed. This moderate challenge is exactly what allows the heart to adapt. With consistent walking, the heart gradually pumps more blood with each beat. Because each heartbeat becomes more effective, the heart often doesn't need to beat as frequently while you're resting. This is why resting heart rate may slowly decrease after weeks of regular walking. A stronger heart also delivers oxygen more efficiently to every organ, making daily activities feel easier without requiring extra effort. The blood vessels also begin changing. The inner lining of healthy blood vessels produces nitric oxide, a molecule that helps arteries relax and widen. During regular walking, increased blood flow stimulates the release of more nitric oxide. As blood vessels become more flexible, circulation improves throughout the body. Better circulation means oxygen and nutrients reach tissues more efficiently, while waste products are removed more effectively. Over time, this improved vascular function can contribute to healthier blood pressure and better cardiovascular health. Now consider the lungs. Walking is not an intense breathing exercise, yet it gently trains the respiratory system. Breathing becomes deeper and more coordinated with movement. The muscles involved in breathing gradually become more efficient, allowing oxygen to enter the bloodstream with less effort. Because oxygen delivery improves, many people notice they no longer become short of breath during simple daily tasks, such as climbing stairs or carrying groceries. The muscles themselves undergo some of the most important metabolic changes. Every time your muscles contract during walking, they demand energy. Initially, they rely on stored glycogen, but with repeated daily walking, they become increasingly efficient at using both glucose and fatty acids. Mitochondria inside muscle cells multiply and improve their ability to generate energy. This means your muscles can perform the same amount of work while producing less fatigue. Muscle contractions also stimulate glucose transporters known as GLUT4 to move to the surface of muscle cells, allowing glucose to enter more easily. This process helps lower blood sugar without requiring large amounts of insulin. The liver also quietly adjusts its behavior. One of the liver's main responsibilities is maintaining stable blood glucose by storing and releasing glycogen. As insulin sensitivity improves through regular walking, the liver receives healthier hormonal signals. Instead of constantly releasing excess glucose into the bloodstream, it becomes better at matching glucose production to the body's actual needs. For people with early insulin resistance or fatty liver, consistent walking may gradually reduce metabolic stress on this vital organ. The pancreas benefits as well. Since muscles become more responsive to insulin after repeated walking sessions, the pancreas often does not need to produce as much insulin after meals. Imagine asking someone to carry a heavy box every day. If the people receiving the box become more cooperative, the delivery becomes much easier. The same principle applies here. Because muscles accept glucose more efficiently, the pancreas can perform its job with less effort. Over months and years, reducing this workload may help support healthier blood sugar regulation. Fat tissue also begins behaving differently. Many people think body fat simply stores excess calories, but fat tissue constantly communicates with the rest of the body through hormones and inflammatory molecules. Regular walking encourages fat cells to release fatty acids more efficiently when energy is needed. Over time, visceral fat, the fat stored around internal organs, may gradually decrease. As visceral fat shrinks, inflammatory signals often decline as well. This creates a healthier internal environment for nearly every organ in the body. Perhaps the most fascinating part is that none of these organs change in isolation. The brain communicates with the heart. The heart improves circulation to the muscles. The muscles become more sensitive to insulin, helping the pancreas and liver work more efficiently. Healthier blood sugar reduces stress on blood vessels. Lower inflammation improves communication between fat tissue and the immune system. Every improvement strengthens another system, creating a positive chain reaction throughout the body. This is why walking every day is far more powerful than simply counting calories burned. It is not one organ becoming healthier while the others remain unchanged. It is an entire biological network gradually learning to function more efficiently together. The first signal begins in the brain, but within weeks, that single habit spreads through the heart, lungs, muscles, liver, pancreas, blood vessels, and fat tissue, until nearly every system in the body is working in better harmony than before. By now, it's clear that walking every day is doing far more than helping you burn a few extra calories. The real benefits begin deep inside your body, and as those internal changes accumulate, they slowly become noticeable in everyday life. Many people don't realize that some of the biggest improvements have nothing to do with the number on the scale. One of the first real-life benefits people often notice is clearer thinking. Instead of feeling mentally foggy in the morning or struggling to focus during the afternoon, they begin experiencing more consistent mental energy. Tasks that once felt overwhelming become easier to organize because the brain is receiving better blood flow and functioning in a more balanced chemical environment. Mood often improves as well. This doesn't mean daily walking eliminates stress completely. Life still presents challenges, but many people find they react differently to those challenges. They become less irritable, recover from frustration more quickly, and feel calmer throughout the day. Because walking helps regulate the nervous system, everyday stress may no longer trigger the same intense emotional response. Another common benefit is better blood sugar control. As muscles become more efficient at absorbing glucose, large swings in blood sugar become less frequent. Many people notice they no longer experience the dramatic energy crashes that once occurred after meals. Cravings for sugary snacks may gradually decrease because the body is maintaining a steadier supply of energy throughout the day. Sleep also tends to improve. Consistent movement during daylight hours helps reinforce the body's natural circadian rhythm. Falling asleep becomes easier for many people, and deep sleep may become more restorative. Better sleep then creates another cycle of improvement by supporting hormone balance, recovery, appetite regulation, and healthy metabolism. Over time, endurance improves almost without people noticing. Climbing stairs becomes easier. Walking longer distances feels effortless. Carrying groceries or playing with grandchildren requires less energy than before. These practical improvements often matter more than dramatic changes in appearance because they directly improve everyday quality of life. Eventually, if daily walking is combined with balanced nutrition and consistency, visceral fat may gradually decrease. Blood pressure often becomes healthier. Insulin sensitivity improves. The body becomes better at using both carbohydrates and fat as fuel. Most importantly, these improvements are built slowly enough that they are easier to maintain over the long term. However, many people unintentionally prevent these benefits by making several common mistakes. The first mistake is walking too hard too soon. Some people believe every walk must leave them exhausted. They push themselves to walk as fast as possible every day, thinking harder always means better. In reality, excessive intensity can increase fatigue, reduce consistency, and make walking feel like punishment instead of a sustainable habit. The second mistake is expecting immediate weight loss. Because the first changes happen inside the brain, muscles, blood vessels, and metabolism, the mirror often changes much later. People who judge success only by the scale may quit just as their internal health is beginning to improve. Another mistake is walking only when motivation appears. Motivation is unpredictable. Habits are reliable. The people who benefit the most from walking are rarely the most motivated. They are simply the most consistent. Some people also ignore the importance of sleep and nutrition. Walking cannot completely overcome chronic sleep deprivation, excessive ultra-processed food intake, or constant overeating. These factors work together. Walking amplifies healthy habits, but it cannot completely replace them. Another surprisingly common mistake is walking for 30 minutes and then remaining seated for the rest of the day. While the daily walk is extremely valuable, prolonged sitting for the remaining 15 hours reduces many of its metabolic benefits. Small movement breaks throughout the day help reinforce the positive signals created by the walk. Perhaps the biggest misunderstanding is believing that walking gives unlimited permission to eat anything. Exercise is not a way to erase unhealthy habits. Walking works best when it is viewed as a daily conversation with your body, rather than a punishment for yesterday's meals. The people who experience the greatest transformation are usually not those who walk the fastest or the farthest. They are the ones who show up every day, allowing their brain, heart, muscles, liver, pancreas, blood vessels, and metabolism to adapt one step at a time. So, if you want to experience these changes for yourself, where should you begin? The good news is that you don't need to train like an athlete or spend hours exercising every day. In fact, one of the greatest strengths of walking is that almost anyone can start. If you're completely new to regular exercise, keep it simple. Begin with just 10 minutes of walking each day, preferably after one of your meals. Don't worry about speed. Focus on creating a routine that feels easy enough to repeat tomorrow. Your goal during the first few weeks isn't to burn the maximum number of calories. It's to teach your brain that movement is becoming part of your normal daily life. For most healthy adults, 20 to 40 minutes of comfortable walking each day is an excellent target. You should be able to hold a conversation while walking without struggling to breathe. This moderate pace places enough demand on your muscles, heart, and blood vessels to stimulate healthy adaptation without creating unnecessary stress. If your primary goal is improving blood sugar control, consider walking for 10 to 20 minutes after meals. Muscle contractions help move glucose out of the bloodstream and into muscle cells, reducing post-meal blood sugar spikes. Over time, this simple habit may improve insulin sensitivity and support healthier metabolic function. If your goal is losing visceral fat, remember that walking works best when combined with other healthy habits. Eating enough protein helps preserve muscle. Fiber supports stable blood sugar and gut health. Quality sleep allows hormones to recover properly. Limiting ultra-processed foods reduces unnecessary metabolic stress. Walking is one important piece of the puzzle, but it becomes much more powerful when these habits work together. If your goal is healthy aging, consistency matters far more than intensity. Walk regularly. Stand tall with good posture. Breathe naturally instead of rushing. Spend a little time outdoors when possible, to benefit from natural daylight, which also helps regulate your circadian rhythm. Most importantly, give your body enough time to recover and adapt. As we finish today's discussion, let's return to the question we asked at the beginning. What is the first organ that changes when you start walking every day? Surprisingly, it may not be your legs or even your heart. It may be your brain. The brain becomes more efficient at coordinating movement, regulating stress, controlling appetite, improving mood, and managing energy. Once those signals begin changing, the heart follows. Then the muscles. Then the liver, pancreas, blood vessels, and fat tissue. One simple daily habit gradually becomes a whole body transformation. The most important lesson is that health rarely changes overnight. Your body always begins by improving the systems you cannot see, before rewarding you with the changes you can. Every walk is a message telling your body to become stronger, more efficient, and more resilient. One walk may seem small, but hundreds of walks can quietly reshape the way your entire body functions. If you enjoyed today's science-based explanation, let us know in the comments. How many minutes do you walk every day? And what changes have you noticed? We'd love to hear your experience. And if you're interested in learning more about fasting, metabolism, visceral fat, blood sugar, healthy aging, and the incredible science happening inside your body every single day, be sure to subscribe and join us for our next episode.